Some glow-in-the-dark gel nails. Let's get spooky wooky. What it do? Welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, hey, my name is Shavana. I'm a nail technician. Today we're going to be doing a full set of nails with art on every single nail, doing freehand art. We got over an hour and a half of art on these bad boys. I wanted to give a quick little note that I did lose all of the footage of me prepping and of me filing the finished nails, so that's kind of lame, but that's what we got going on here, so we're left with what we got. You just seen me applying my tack to the prepped nail, and now I am applying my natural fiber gel by Light Elegance on my forms in order to build my free edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into the light for 5 seconds, and that just kind of allows it to cure enough to not be sticky anymore. What that's going to let me do is use my, there you go, you can see right there, use my pinching tool to start on my little C curve there. And what the C curve does is it gives the nail strength, because the strongest structure is an arch. So what we're doing is we're building an arch at the front part of the nail, which is the most vulnerable to getting breakages. And the reason why we want to pinch the nail is because of our form placement. In order for our forms to be fitted up against the natural nail's free edge properly, you can kind of tell they're a little bit flat looking, right? So what we want to do is we do not want that flat look, because it's just not going to be nearly as strong, and they will break quite quickly. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. So once they are in the light for 5 seconds and they're pliable, we end up pinching it with the tool there. And when you're pinching it, it's able to hold a little bit because you did cure it for that 5 seconds. And then once you place it back into the lamp, it's got the chance to cure fully. And then you can see me here just applying my Jimmy gel onto the natural nail portion. And the reason why I'm doing that is for if my client wants to file down their own nails when they get home, if they can't come in for removal, what they can do is they can take the acetone and they can put it onto a cotton pad, and then once they file down to that layer of the Jimmy gel, because Jimmy gel is soak off, they can put that acetone onto the cotton pad and then soak it off, and then they don't end up damaging their nails because they don't know how to file off the product properly. You can see here, especially on this one particular nail, I did have to customize the form quite a lot. So what I've done is I've taken the middle sticker from the form and I've cut it into a straight line, and that way I'm able to fit that straight free edge. And what I actually noticed about this particular nail was that the free edge was not exactly straight, it kind of went up a little bit. So what I did is I looked at the nail itself, the free edge, and then I contoured the form to fit it perfectly. Because if you don't do that, what's going to happen is there's going to be this little ledge that's sticking out underneath the nail. Not only is that going to be uncomfortable for the client, but that little ledge is going to catch on to everything. And what will eventually happen is one day they're, you know, running their fingers through their hair, or they're like putting their sheets on their bed or something, and it's going to grab onto that and it's going to end up pulling it right off. So little things like that, like not fitting the form properly and allowing that little bit of edge to stick out, it's just not going to allow the nails to last as long as you want. So what I got here is I'm working on the fully finished filed nails. And what I did is I just painted them with a nude. The color that I used was called Nude with Attitude by Light Elegance, and I just used the color gel. When I'm using the color gels from Light Elegance, because they're meant for a sort of like icing kind of application, they're usually a lot better when they are embedded, just because of that sort of technique that they are used for. The reason why they work so much better embedded is just because of their like kind of thicker, more creamier consistency. But when you want to apply it on a finished filed nail, it is possible to apply sort of a thinner layer, two thinner layers actually, rather than going in with that sort of floating technique that is preferred when you are embedding. What you'll find though, when you are doing a technique like this, applying the color gel on top, is that you do have a little bit of a ledge over behind the cuticle just because you need to get that precise application. But what I've found is if you go in with that first layer and you sort of butt it up, you butt up that color towards the cuticle area, and then you do a super thin layer on top, and you're kind of focusing that second layer on top as just like a full coverage thing so that you get rid of any shadowing underneath. And what that's going to do is kind of give that seamless application from the cuticle in the cuticle area, or we should say eponychium area, but we will keep it in simple terms. So like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I did lose all that footage of me doing my finished filing and doing the prep. It's so funny because my phone, it actually was giving me alerts the whole time that the memory was full. And I guess what was happening was, since the memory was full and it still wanted to record, it was just deleting all my old footage. The art that we're doing today is kind of like super fun, super kind of girly, super like bright and 80s kind of vibes, but also a little creepy because you know I like it creepy. What I've found best about these kind of natural things like the spider webs and the sort of blood drips and things like that is just try to turn off your brain, because these things are not perfect. And whenever I'm doing stuff, I'm kind of a huge perfectionist. I want everything to be symmetrical and this side to be perfect with that side, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to those things, it's not going to look very nice if you make it all perfect. So just turn off your brain and just say, I'm going to put one here, I'm going to put one there, I'm going to put one there, and then boom, and now it's done and you made your choice, and move on. And what I've found is when you do something like that, you not only work a lot faster, but it also looks a lot more natural. Because not everything in nature is perfect looking. I mean, nothing in nature is perfect looking, to be honest. So, but hey, at the same time, I mean, spider webs don't exactly have pink highlights that glow in the dark. So another thing that I end up doing a lot of the time when I'm doing my freehand art is I hold my breath. And then I find that when I'm doing that, I start going like, and then I realize that I'm not breathing, and I'm like, oh my God, something's wrong. And then I'm like, oh yeah, breathing, because that's what we need to do to survive. Whoops. When you remind yourself to breathe and you are doing small, detailed freehand art like this, you'll find that your hand starts to steady a lot more and you get a little bit more precise with your lines and your application. If you think about it as doing nails, doing the freehand art on nails as painting teeny tiny little canvases, it kind of switches your brain back to thinking this is art. And all art is subjective. You know, some people might look at something and think that it's weird looking and they don't really understand it. And that's fine, because there's other people that will look at certain things and think, holy shit, that's freaking amazing. And when it comes down to art, it's all subjective. So when you're doing your own art, we kind of judge ourselves really harshly, and we think, oh, this isn't good enough and people are going to judge me. But really, if somebody's judging you for your art, then fuck them. It's kind of those people that don't really have any kind of artistic abilities. I think that's something that's really not helping any artistic people out there, is a lot of the stuff that's posted on social media, especially to do with nails, because we see these super extravagant, super elegant, perfect nails on social media. And what we say to ourselves is, oh my God, my work will never look like that. Like, holy shit, I'm not good enough. You think like, oh, there's this one little tiny section of my nail here that I see when I zoom in on my picture. Everybody's gonna judge me for that. Oh, there's a little speck on my nail that got trapped in the top coat. Oh, everyone's gonna judge me for that. But it's like, really, guys? We can't be doing this to ourselves. We have to remember that A lot of these photos that are on social media of these nails and of these different things in general, this art in general, this is taking them hours upon hours upon hours to do and to perfect in order to post it on social media. Now, I mean, we can sit here for hours upon hours upon hours and do this art and make it all perfect, but I mean, imagine how sore your butt would be sitting there for hours upon hours painting nails. So what we have to do in this industry is kind of switch the narrative, and we have to realize, you know, it's different now with social media than it used to be back then, because a lot of the stuff that we're seeing in social media now, it used to be like in magazines or, you know, those big huge posters at art shows and things like that. And you know, back then we knew to tell ourselves like, hey, this is all super professional work that took them hours to do in order to get that photo. They had to do all these lighting changes and different effects in order to get the exposure right and all this. And now we see these photos and videos and stuff on social media, and we're not telling ourselves that. We're telling ourselves that this is just stuff that they took a quick photo of and posted, and it ended up being fucking perfect. It ended up being having the perfect lighting and the perfect lines and perfect everything. But I mean, life isn't freaking perfect, and I think the best thing that we can do is just force ourselves to post our work and love the work that we do for what it is. It was a snapshot into what we seen as something interesting and cool and worth putting the effort into at the time. I started taking photos and videos and whatnot of my nails as soon as I started doing them. And the reason wasn't because I thought that they were awesome and cool and looked amazing like everybody else's, and I was just this freaking superstar at nails. That's not the reason at all. The reason that I did that is because I wanted to watch my own journey unfold. I knew that I wanted to see where I began, and I want to see how far I've come. I knew that was a journey that I wanted to see in myself because of the amount of work that I was doing. I wanted to watch it pay off, and I really only did that for myself because the biggest motivator for me is just watching how far I've come. So now that we're done that little bit of a ramble, I will tell you basically what I'm doing. For the spiderweb nails, what I kind of start to do is I just put like a dot in the middle or wherever I want the spiderweb to start. And then what I do is I pull out in like little diagonal sections, as you can see, sort of making like a little pizza, like as if you were to cut a pizza. And then what I do is I cure that portion, that little pizza cutting section right there, as you can see on that thumbnail there that I have. I cure that because what I do not want to do is start doing the little lines in between and then have them bleed into each other. I mean, that could be a look, having the lines bleed into each other like a sort of drippy, kind of melted spiderweb sort of look, but that's not the look that I was going for today, because what I wanted is the black to pop and be quite bold, and then to have the neon colors kind of contrasting it. So I didn't want those lines to be super thick or super lumpy looking at all. What I was imagining when I was thinking of this set was like a Goosebumps kind of vibe. One of my girlfriends actually told me she was watching Goosebumps the other day, and it just reminded me of that. And you know the picture of where it says Goosebumps and they have the green stuff dripping down? That's what I was going for. So, and the best thing to do when you have creepy green looking dripping stuff is to throw in some other neon colors and make them frickin' glow in the dark, right? I was thinking, what can I do to make these glow in the dark and make them cool as hell, but like not have them be super glow in the dark where like somebody's trying to sleep but they can't because their nails are glowing so much. But I also wanted it to be like really cool where you walk into a room, or like not a room, but maybe like a restaurant or something like that, and you can see a little bit of glowing happening on somebody's nails, and you're like, ooh, that looks cool. What's that? Let me see those nails. I think my favorite part about doing nails is having the clients contact me and tell them of all the attention that they're getting and how good it makes them feel. I think that's definitely the best part about my job, is making people feel beautiful on the outside as they are on the inside. Now, this is our finished product. I do love them a lot. They are definitely what I was thinking in my head. Now, how awesome is my client to have sat there to go through all this craziness, all this art and whatnot. What a sweetie pie, hey? Now we're gonna get on to the portion where we see the glow in the dark. Ooh. And lights out. Yes. Goosebumps? Oh, my heart's a flutter. You had me at slimy. Just kidding. I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time.